Lady Lollipop by Dick King Smith. Chapter 2. A Bit of a Strange Name. The first thing that the king did was to issue a royal proclamation which stated that every pig keeper in the kingdom was commanded to bring one pig to the palace at a certain time on the day of Princess Penelope's 8th birthday. "That way, Eth," said the king to the queen, "our Penelope will have the widest possible choice." So when the time came, dozens and dozens of pig keepers gathered in the great park, in the center of which the palace stood. Each man had brought one pig, in a cart or on a rope, or if small enough, in his arms. And what a selection there was! There were big pigs and middle-sized pigs and little pigs. There were pigs with upright ears or droopy ears, with long snouts or pushed-in faces. And as for color, why, there were pigs of every imaginable hue. Many were whitish, of course, but some were black, some were reddish, some were striped, some were spotted, all lined up on the green grass of the great park, ready for the princess's inspection. Most of the pig keepers knew that the princess was a very spoiled child, and many of them expected that she would not be satisfied with just one pig. The king and queen rather expected this too, and they kept their fingers crossed as they walked along the lines behind the birthday girl. But far from choosing lots, the princess passed from pig to pig, and all she said was, "No." "Do you like this one, Penelope darling?" the king would say. "No." "Oh, perhaps this one?" the queen would say. "No." And after a bit they gave up asking because "no" became "no." "I'll tell you when I find one. I'll tell you when I find the one I want," said the little princess. "Just stop nagging me." Each pig keeper was, of course, very disappointed at the inspection party passed by him, for to have his pig chosen to live at court would have been the greatest honor. But it was beginning to look as though the princess simply couldn't find anything she liked. Whatever the size or shape or color, she merely scowled and shook her head and marched on until there was one animal left at the very end of the very last of the lines of pigs of all sorts. This last pig, the king and queen could see, was quite different from all the other fat, well-groomed animals. They say that pig keepers tend to look rather like their charges, and most of the owners were, if not well-groomed, on the fatter side. But the last pig was long, skinny creature, held on the end of a piece of a string by a long, skinny boy. It was dirty white in color, and the boy looked none too clean. Princess Penelope pointed at this last pig. "Want that one," she said. "But, darling," said the king, "you can't have that one. It's the scruffiest, ugliest pig of the lot." "Is not!" shouted the princess, and folded her arms and scowled furiously at her father. Now all the pig keepers in the great park fell silent, and so even did their pigs. Everyone waited to see who would win this battle, the king, monarch of all he surveyed, or his spoiled little daughter. But before either could say a further word, to everyone's surprise, the last pig's owner spoke. "You're right, miss," said the boy to the princess. "You've picked the best one. Scruffy and ugly she may be, like your dad says, but she's the brightest, cleverest pig you ever did see. Just watch this." Then he said to his pig, "Sit," and she sat, and "Down," and she lay down, and "Roll over," and she rolled over, and "Stand," and she stood up again, looking up at the boy and waiting for the next command. "Will you look at that?" said the other big pig keepers in astonishment, while their pigs voiced their amazements in a flurry of grunting. I trained her myself, said the long, skinny boy, and he handed the end of the string to the princess. He swallowed, as though there were a lump in his throat. I shall be ever so sorry to see her go, he said. She's all I've got. You must have a mother and a father, haven't you? Said the queen. No, I'm an orphan. Oh, well, don't worry, said the Princess Penelope. Daddy will get you another pig. And she took hold of the animal string and said, Sit! The pig remained standing. The princess stamped her foot. Sit! She shouted again, but nothing happened. Choose another pig, Penelope, my love, said King Theophilus. This creature only obeys the boy. To everyone's surprise, the princess did not shout and yell at this. Instead, she stood, hands on hips, facing her father, and said in a very quiet voice, I want this pig. Oh, said the king. Sorry, he said to the boy. She wants your pig. Could I come see her now and again? The boy said. The pig, I mean. He turned to the princess. Could I, miss, please? Now, as this oddly assorted couple of children faced one another, the princess in a new, expensive party frock, the boy, half a head taller, in his torn and dirty clothes, something quite unexpected happened. The princess smiled. Whether it was because she felt some pity for the boy, or whether she worked out that he'd be useful for jobs like mucking out the pig, or whether it was because the pig suddenly sat before her and looked up into her eyes and gave a little grunt, no one knew, but those nearest saw her smiling, first at the pig and then at the ragged boy. What's your name? She said. Johnny, miss. Johnny Skinner. All right, Johnny Skinner, said Princess Penelope. You can be my personal pig keeper. You can go on looking after this pig, which is now my pig, my birthday pig. Understood? Yes, miss, said Johnny. But, darling, began the queen. But, Penelope, began King. But nothing, said the princess. Come on, Johnny. And back they marched along the lines, and Princess with her birthday present and Johnny Skinner, then King Theophilus and Queen Ethelwyn. By the way, said the princess over her shoulder to her new pig keeper, what's her name, this pig of mine? Well, miss, said Johnny, it's a bit of a strange name, really, but it's what I've always called her. What is it? Lollipop.